There is a lot of resistance to networking, and for good reasons. Partly because, in a strange sense, it's a little bit unnatural to us, at least in the modern context where we're dealing with thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people. For a very long time, human beings have lived in fairly small social groups, right? The numbers range from 100 to several hundred. The sort of popular number, the Dunbar number, is around 150. So when you look at the splitting of tribes, some anthropological studies happened around 150 people, they would split up the tribe. Early military units in the Roman army would be about 150, the company, which today in the modern military, one of the core units is the company, which is about 90 to 120, 150 individuals. So the first point is that appeal, the modern appeal to networking, diversity and so on, in many ways it's unnatural to us. You know, we don't like it. It feels better to be in that small familiar group, that clique that you see every day, that you trust, that you know, rather than to broaden out and do other things. So you settle in, you find your group, often a similar group to you, because that's more comfortable. And then it's like a warm bath. You just want to stay in there. You don't want to get out. So sometimes to go out, to broaden your perspective, to meet new people, discover new ideas is difficult. There's a big performance benefit of doing it. That's the other thing. We may not like it, but it helps us.
I think network is key to anything in business, in equity in particular. This is the way you identify your future investment projects. It's the way you help them develop, because development comes through recruitment, so you need to identify and attract talent. And you use your networks for this.
Networking, I would say, it's the thing that one must learn, and it's absolutely essential. It's something I tell my children, you must learn to network, because today and in the future, it's networking that's going to allow you to find a job. All right, and if you don't have that network, and you must develop it.
So what makes you more creative? One of the things that makes you more creative and innovative is the diversity of the network that you hold. Do you bridge different pockets of knowledge and different ideas? I happen to believe that innovation is fundamentally about recombining existing pieces of knowledge that are already in existence, right? And the key then is, how do you discover these things? And one of the ways that you do it is through your network, is through developing a network that bridges different pockets of knowledge.
So one of my best girlfriends is Japanese. I know her through INSEAD. She's now a professor in Kyoto. And it's a great contact. I was in Brussels this week. I was in an elevator. And there was a nice gentleman who said, "Barbara." And I looked at him, and it's a Polish doctor who did an MBA. And he happens now to be a minister of the European Union delegated to the Pope on healthcare matters. So, I mean, it's such a fantastic network in different countries, in different eras, which is great.
Really, at INSEAD, with the cultural diversity, I think it's very easy for people to see the value, I mean, the challenges sometimes, and the value of collaboration. And I think networking is really believing that others have also good ideas, and maybe together we can be smarter.
Our ability to do anything in this world depends upon other people. And we have to go out, you know, ecosystem thinking and develop relationships and ties and so on. I think one of the reasons people are particularly negative when it comes to networking is because the way we frame networking is typically it's an ask, right? We go in there expecting to get something back. My advice, and the most important advice I can give people on how to go about building authentic, strong networks, is think about giving. Go out of your way to make the people around you better. Go out of your way to improve the lives of people around you.
People talk about the value of their networks, and not just the network this week of what you need now, but of the help that you can give everyone else. And at least my experience has been is For as many times as students have called me or alum have called me, and the help that I've tried to offer them, it's been a tenfold return to me in terms of that.
I think one of the things that has impressed me when people are trying to network with me is they come with a piece of information that could be relevant. So if you're trying to network with someone who you don't know particularly well, but who could be useful to you, think about what is of interest to them at the time. Have you heard that? This job is coming up. This person has just quit. This industry is going through a shake-up. This is likely to be happening in the next 6 months.
The worst time to develop your network is when you're in trouble, when you're in crisis. People can smell the need, right? And then all you're doing, you're networking purely to ask. And you go around, I need a job, or I need this resource. Not a good time to build a network, right? You want to build a network when you're in a position of strength, when you're stable, when you have something to give. The problem is many people, when they get to that point, when they're sort of stable in their careers, status gets in the way, they think they're too important to help, to do things like that. Wrong. This is the time when you should go out of your way and look for places where you can add value to the people around you, right? In an authentic way, not looking for any short-term or even medium-term benefits, but look to make people's lives better.
So the moment I start thinking of a transaction is the moment that I lost people. And I actually feel very uncomfortable when I am going into a setting where I have to be transactional. I am at my best when I am networking because I enjoy, genuinely enjoy learning about the people I'm interacting with.
They're not in tell mode all the time. They're more in ask mode. They're more interested in seeing what other people have to share. They're good listeners, right? They're people who don't have to occupy 90% of the conversation at lunch or in a group. There are people who will sit back and sort of reflect on what people are saying.
I actually have been asked if I was a investigative reporter once, because the way I interact with people is I ask so many questions. I am so intrigued by their journeys. I learn so much as I talk to them that I think people can relate to that, and that builds a network that can go very far. So that's how it works for me.
It's actually something that the Career Management Service here at INSEAD went into when I was here, was reaching out to the alumni network. The toolkit, or the literally a series of 4 or 5 questions I still remember from the days here, was playing the ego card and not trying to sell yourself, but asking the other person, what are you doing? Tell me about you and the role that you have in that job.
I'll give you one example, which is happening now at INSEAD. We have the EMBAs on campus. And one of the things that we've designed in is that even though our various EMBA cohorts, they all do all the core courses together at the same time, the electives happen together. So now you have over 200 EMBAs here at the same time doing various electives, and it's a wonderful opportunity for them to interact. Without that structure in place, it would be hard. I mean, none of them are going to, it's much more difficult to kind of spontaneously say, I'm going to bridge to another class or whatever else. Sometimes you need corporate managers, HR people designing physical structures, events and so on to create more opportunities.
INSEAD, for me, it's a network that I use almost on a daily basis. I think also it's one of the MBAs where the network is the most efficient. You reach out to someone and that person will actually reply. And we are across the globe, we are across sectors, so it's extremely powerful. And so to take the time to come to an alumni reunion, as I do this weekend, to participate in cocktails, it's extremely important.
My biggest advice would be what the French call lève la tête, you know, raise your head. We're like hedgehogs sometimes. We keep our heads down, buried down in our little social circle, and that's where the comfort is. But I think what you have to do is raise your head and look for opportunities. You know, go in it with a listening mind, an open mind, one that's ready to listen, to give, you know, to add value to the people around you, rather than have this mentality of take, take, take. That's not what networking is necessarily about. It's about giving and building and growing and learning.